I would consider picking up a couple of names, Apple not one of them. I'd like to see Apple first before I get reinterested, even though I do have a core position in the name. If it gets back to where it traded, Kelly, in late May, early June at about the 175 to 180 handle. Some of the other stocks, I'm more inclined, Facebook, Google, Amazon. I think there have been some stocks that even without the Chinese issues have been whacked just on their earnings reports. You know, companies in fintech that I'm interested in, things like Square at $60 a share, should it get there, PayPal, and then you actually have some relatively defensive plays in stocks like Visa and MasterCard. And MasterCard's the top performer in the NASDAQ 100 today.
I was going to say, I don't know if Visa and MasterCard are defensive anymore. They feel like the biggest momentum names in the market, Paul.
I don't know about that. They still, if you take a look, have nice support, and they just don't have the volatility. They've been very successful companies.
Yeah.
And essentially, if you take a look at their price charts over a long period of time, they've gone from Southwest pretty consistently to Northeast.
John, I'm curious as well about a company like Netflix, one of the harder hit in the last few weeks, but of course it also had that disappointing earnings report. It doesn't appear to have much China exposure. It shouldn't really get caught up here. Is there a fundamental reason why FANG, so to speak, is the place that is taking the brunt of the pain and the sell-off?
I think there's different reasons. I mean, Netflix doesn't have China exposure, but it's got Disney exposure. And Disney, which I know we're going to talk about, is getting ready to come out with Plus. I know I've got an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. My 11-year-old can't stop talking about Marvel. It's like a college major for him. He was quizzing his little brother on the actor names for various Marvel superheroes.
See, it used to be my dad that did that. Now it's the younger generation.
And he can't conceive of the fact that these were once like comic books and not such a big deal long ago when Dad was a kid. So this ownership of mythology is really high margin. It's almost an Apple-like aura around Disney right now. And you don't even have to include Star Wars in that. And it's boys and girls. It's kids of all ages.
Oh, sure. They should allow pre-orders so we can get, like Fandango, so to speak. Sarah, on that note, we are going to hear from Disney after the bell today. What's years at 2019? 2016, right? 2015. 4 years ago, it was when Bob Iger on the earnings call made those comments about ESPN that sent the stock lower, and it stayed there for years. How high is the bar this afternoon?
It's pretty high. I mean, at the end of the day, there is no sign for ESPN growing at this point, or any of its cable networks. That includes ABC, Disney Channel, et cetera. So they need to really see growth potential in Disney Plus. Now, Disney came out in May and said, we see 60 to 90 million subscribers happening. We see this thing being profitable. But at the end of the day, they do have fierce competition from Netflix. They do have fierce competition from Warner Media and other streaming services coming out. The other thing that I'm really looking at here with Disney is they are the film mega to beat. Yeah. I mean, they own the
They're
market,
the only game in town.
40% of the market. Now, where does a lot of that revenue come from? China. And so there have been instances earlier in this year where Chinese authorities, who do have the jurisdiction to block films from coming in, have blocked them.
Wow.
And so if this trade war spills over and Chinese authorities don't allow Disney to export films, you can imagine that investors are going to get wary.